Hey folks, it's Jim from the Movie Rewind here to give you my thoughts on some of the films coming out this summer, particularly this May. So without further ado, here we go. May 3rd, Iron Man 3. Now, I was a big fan of the first film. What Jon Favreau lacked in style, he made up with it in intelligence and competence. It had a topical quality to it without taking itself too seriously. There was a clear focused redemptive arc, and while the third act didn't quite compare to the first two, this was a well-made film carried by the inspirational casting of Robert Downey Jr. as the flawed Tony Stark. Like many, I wasn't a fan of the second, but for this third film and Marvel's Phase 2, Shane Black replaces Jon Favreau as director and writer, and I think it's exactly what this franchise needs after the tired-out second installment. Favreau purists might be upset, but for those that are familiar with Shane Black, we couldn't be more ecstatic. Early word indicates that this is definitely an Iron Man film, but Black's voice has not been diminished, and after the success of The Avengers, a team-based effort flick, moviegoers are willing to accept Marvel taking more chances with their properties within storytelling. Apparently, Warner Bros. Didn't get the memo when they made The Green Lantern, a film that took place primarily on Earth in an unspectacular fashion. Usually after a series meets its first dud, studios jump the gun and reboot, but Marvel is in no position to replace Downey, and they certainly don't want to. Will they rectify the problematic second installment? Only one way to tell. May 10th, The Great Gatsby, Baz Luhrmann's adaptation of F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic novel. This was set to come out last December, but was pushed back in order to finish up some effects, supposedly. It's tough to say if the film can stand up financially against the explosive blockbusters, but with a hard push for 3D, they're certainly selling this as an event movie not to be missed. Luhrmann's flicks are pretty yet divisive, and I can't say I'm one of his defenders, and although the book is all blurred to me now at this point, I'm still intrigued. I have a feeling this could be solid at best or a complete disaster at worst. May 17th, Star Trek Into Darkness. Before we see his take on Star Wars, J.J. Abrams will deliver his sequel to the surprisingly good Star Trek, a film that served both as a prequel and as a reboot. This looks considerably darker, and there's plenty of speculation around the villain played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who some might be familiar with from shows like Sherlock and films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. May 24th, Fast and the Furious 6. This might be the first time I'm actually looking forward to one of these films, as it's a better alternative over what else is coming out that weekend. I've never really enjoyed the series, but that last one, Fast 5, accepted its stupidity and absurdity, making it actually a decent time at the movies. Its Ocean 11-like plot gave way to races with a point, rather than just pissing contests with many reoccurring cast members. Here, charismatic Dwayne Johnson, one of the better recent additions, will be showing up again, instead teaming up with Diesel and the gang, while Michelle Rodriguez returns with a vengeance. Now for the other film coming out that weekend, Hangover 3. While I don't put the first one on the pedestal that many do, I still really enjoyed it, but the second one was downright awful. I suppose it's obvious to say, but it's true. It was merely a remake of the first. Instead of a baby, they carry an old man. Instead of a tiger, they have a monkey. You could laugh about the events of the first one if they happened to you. The second one is a nightmare. Cooper's good looks prevented him from being the butt of any jokes. Galifianakis' man-child Alan grew tiresome, while Ed Helms' Stu got it the worst after being violated one terrible night. Don't get me started on Ken Jeong, an actor who has become far too overexposed. Now, all that being said, this third one doesn't look too bad. As the last one in the trilogy, the plot seems to be different enough from the previous two, although Doug finds himself kidnapped yet again, this time by John Goodman. Unfortunately, Ken Jeong, a funny enough actor in small doses, seems to have a large part in the story as a close friend to Alan, and I'm not so sure if that's a good thing. I think director and writer Todd Phillips is a talented guy, but here's to hoping his success hasn't blinded him from the truth. Speaking of trilogies, that same weekend, Richard Linklater's Before Midnight will be released following the lives of Jesse and Celine yet again, 9 years later after Before Sunset. These movies have always been charming, moving, and shockingly honest, resembling real life with character-driven stories rather than just convenient plot points. In any case, early reception is positive, and I'm fairly confident it will satisfy. May 31st, we'll see the release of M. Night Shyamalan's sci-fi adventure After Earth, the story conceived by Will Smith himself, who will be starring with his son, Jaden Smith. I'm kind of indifferent on this one. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look too bad. Concept is solid enough, but Shyamalan's latest films have been increasingly disappointing, and perhaps nepotism has gone too far with Jaden Smith, who I don't have much confidence in. I know he wants to be an actor, and Will Smith's own career has slowed down to make a career for his son, but I'm not sure if he has his father's charisma. Lastly, that weekend comes the thriller Now You See Me, following illusionists who perform bank heists while performing with the FBI on their trail. Could be fun, could be bad, who knows. Once again, I'm sort of indifferent on this one. So there you have it. That's May. I'd say that the three that I'm looking forward to the most within that month are Iron Man 3, Star Trek in the Darkness, and Before Midnight. That's it from the Movie Rewind. Have a good day, folks. Until next time.